must read in context.
That's right.
The next issue you brought up. You brought all these issues up, and I'm going to knock them off one at a time. The next issue you brought up was, oh, fine, so we follow Jesus, we give up all our clothes and all our savings, and we just go around preaching the Bible. No. In 2 Thessalonians
I said just
chapter
within the gospel.
3, Paul writes very clearly, if a man...
I said only in the four
Let
gospels.
him
Only the four
finish,
gospels.
man.
The word of Christ, not some
Let
guys
him
who come
finish,
years
man.
after.
As I was saying, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, Paul writes, if a man will not work, he shall not eat. Jesus Christ and the entire Bible commend work.
That's right.
Now, you and I live in a culture that says there's a big difference between the secular and the sacred. If you're really close to Jesus, you're going to become a minister, a priest, a monk, or a nun. But when you take the time to read the Bible, you will notice that the greatest men and women of faith in the Bible were not priests, they were not ministers, they were not monks or nuns. Instead, they were political leaders like Daniel and Joseph.
That's right.
They were very successful business people like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Job. They had a profound faith in God, but they worked hard. When you go back to the book of Genesis, you read that God created us to work. God gave us rational minds. And when you put your faith in Christ, you don't drop out of UT. Instead, you study harder at UT because you have a new motive to study. No longer is your motive to get the highest paying job possible. Your motive is, God has given me a rational mind. He's put me in a position of responsibility to develop that rational mind so I can provide a better product, a better service to make this world a better place. That is the new motive when you put your faith in Christ. It is not simply to position yourself to make a higher salary. So, I know that you've heard that if you commit your life to Christ, you got to get out of university. That is totally false. When you put your faith in Christ, you understand God has given me gifts and opportunities. I need to use those responsibly to love God by loving and serving people. I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me. He's just as committed to Christ as I am. He's a transplant surgeon at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's involved in genetic research and he teaches at the med school there. He's just as committed to Christ as I am, but he understands God has given me the ability to do medicine, to do it well. I have another brother who's just as committed to Christ as I am. He's dean of a law school in Jacksonville, Florida, and he works with L'Arche, the community begun by Jean Vanier, the Frenchman, that works with handicapped people, that has homes around the world for severely handicapped, retarded people. My brother John is just as committed to Christ as I am. He's never preached. He's never spoken on a university campus. I have a sister who's a school teacher. She's just as committed to Christ as I am. She teaches fifth graders. Based on her faith in Christ, she's committed to intellectually developing fifth grade children. I, or my brother who transplants kidneys and livers, are not more successful, we're not more valuable than our brain-damaged sister. We are all seeking to use our abilities to serve Christ faithfully to the best of our abilities. That is a biblical view of work. That is a biblical view of life. Yes, sir, your response.
Okay. Now, this is a question I asked a Christian guy before who was trying to justify being in the military. I said, how can you serve in a military that trains you to kill people? That's the whole purpose of a military, right? And you can go and be a jet pilot, blow people up. Oh, I'm a Christian and a good American, right? But the whole point of Christ, but then these guys will put up an idol and say, worship this tin can because this is the God, doopity-doop or whatever. But you won't do that. But you won't do that, right? But then you'll go blow people up and kill people. And according to this James guy, no sin is, over the other one. And I'm asking, why is it that they can serve in militaries, claim to be Christians, serve worldly governments, which are all up under the rule and dominion of the God of this world, Satan, right? Because basically Jesus said if you follow him, you're going to be evil spoken of, hated, right? For his name's sake, right? So how the heck are you going to be telling me that these governments are good and that all these Christians that are working to uphold these worldly governments and supporting worldly governments are doing the works of Christ? And what I'm saying is that what Christ teaches in the Gospels,
preaching the gospel,
basically, what he's teaching in the Gospels is totally different from what people are practicing and preaching to people. And another thing, why don't churches go around telling people not to get married? Because it seems to me most churches promote getting married. But according to Christ, you basically shouldn't get married. According to Christ, when he's speaking to his disciples,
for the nails for
he said, when you go to heaven, you will be as the angels. You will not be married anymore. People won't be married.
So what?
Right? So what's the purpose of being married on the earth?
Well, I don't think I'll be playing basketball in heaven, but I can still enjoy basketball now.
And then Paul tells you that those who are married care more for the world than they do for the things of Christ or whatever. When you're married, right? So you might as well not be married in the first place and just dedicated your whole life for Christ. But I don't see too many of these churches going out and preaching that.
You see, what you're doing is you are selectively taking one line, pulling it out of the text, and saying this is what the whole thing says. That is intellectually dishonest. You have to read in context. You're right. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul says that singleness is a gift from God. But throughout the Bible, marriage is also pictured as a gift from God. And so, because I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, I'm going to communicate. If you feel called by God to be single, God bless you, live a single life. If you feel called by God to be married, God bless you, live a married life. It's that simple.